Call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're all gathered here today for a special meeting. Purpose, discussion, and action of various topics. What's that? Oh, yeah. Does anybody from the public want to speak first on the agenda items?
I actually want to say a Sunshine Act violation. I contacted Dan about it, and I CC'd a couple of board members, but I want to make sure, well, I was going to say all of them, but I requested the committee meetings for the last couple of years, and there's no minutes. He had stated that committees don't need to keep minutes and don't have to be public. That's not accurate at all. All your committee meetings that have anything to do with what will come on the main board's agenda has to be public. You have to keep minutes. You have to do everything you would like a normal board meeting. And I just want to point that out to the board, because it seems like that's never been done. And it's a huge liability. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie, do you have anything? Ordinance enforcement. So at the meeting, what's the date? 26th?
26th.
7th, 8th? 26th, we had discussed creating a code enforcement / possibly zoning ordinance position. We had attempted or voted on having a committee meeting for that, correct?
Yeah.
We had not had that yet. I'm okay to have the discussion on at least the creation of it tonight, whether we decide that.
Agreed.
Anybody, we're going to need a motion to that?
Motion.
Motion first from Blair.
Second.
That motion is to create.
Vote on the discussion of the creation.
I still don't understand what the motion is.
Oh, vote on to discuss the creation, potential creation, I guess we should word it, of a ordinance enforcement position, be it code, zoning, or...
I mean, that's basically on the agenda, so I don't think you need a motion to talk about it. You'll need the motion after your discussion. If you decide
All right, fair enough.
that that's what you want to do, I think that's when the motion would come in.
All right.
Maybe that's why I'm confused.
Yeah, no, that might be too.
I think it's because we had talked about having a committee meeting for it.
Yeah,
and we weren't sure exactly, since we didn't have the committee meeting and it was personnel related, we weren't sure if we were allowed to discuss it in its full extent.
And that's,
Got it.
that's the one where I was trying to set up the workshop so that everybody could be there to discuss all, so we didn't have to have 6 committee meetings or whatever that number was. But we chose to go in this direction, and that's fine.
That would be a Sunshine Act violation to allow a workshop where your council members are discussing agenda items.
There's some stated law that says that's not if you do it as a gathering, as long as there's no deliberations or action taken or action recommended back to council. It's just an information gathering session. But it's moot because we didn't do it. We'll have this meeting here instead.
Okay,
Thank you.
You were talking about council talking, which they're not allowed to do. That's deliberations. So that's why I brought it up.
So for clarification, you're saying that we can't meet and discuss how or if we want to move forward with ordinance enforcement?
Correct.
Outside of public meeting.
Outside of a public purview.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Which
You
word
can
public
gather,
meeting?
you can gather information on that outside of a public meeting. When you're just gathering information, you're not deliberating or making any decisions. There's case law on that that says you can do that.
Yes, gathering information is
Right.
fine, but they can't talk among each other. They can't ask each other questions, they can't do any of that stuff.
But,
So-
I mean, regardless, well, that's what we're here for tonight.
Right.
In a public
To have that
in a
discussion
public
in a public meeting.
Exactly. Yep.
I'll let you guys start with the discussion on it.
So, I mean, from my personal aspect of my dealings with the council or involvement in the council, I guess, over the past however many years it is, I've kind of lost track, but I feel like one of the things that I noticed the most in being in different committees is, time restrictions and, the response times to, obviously I've presented several ordinance enforcement issues, and I've presented several for a lot of the borough residents. And, for the most part, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form publicly bashing anybody, but for the most part, the time frame for resolution is too long, way too long. Sidewalks, snow, grass, trash, vehicles, the whole 9 yards. It's something that should be able to be addressed within a week of discussion, in my mind. Whether it's letters being sent out or knocks on people's doors. So that is essentially one of my reasons for wanting to hire a part-time ordinance enforcement officer. Again, it's not just for trash, but also safety and security of the public and anybody that may be visiting our area. I think that.
Sorry, John.
No, you're fine.
Don't shut off.
I think just in my little world that I've dealt with and that I've brought to this council, there's a few months worth of work for somebody just in those areas. We can attack something up front and say or send a letter, but then, typically in today's day, there's not much follow-up or follow-through to the end to make sure that it's completed. So, to me, that's something that, you can't just send somebody a letter and then walk away from it and hope that they fix their issues. But I firmly believe that, the residents, and from speaking with several, that, a part-time ordinance officer, whether it's, 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week, whatever's decided upon, there's plenty of work here for one of them. I think they would stay busy those 10 or 20 hours a week on a weekly basis. And then it's something we can look at again down the road if we feel like they're losing traction and or running out of stuff to take care of. I'm a firm believer that you got to spend money to make money. We're losing residents on a regular basis, and $50 going to Jonathan for citations and things of that nature, in my mind, is $50 well spent, or $100 or $150, whatever it may cost. So that's my input on this.
I will tell you that Jonathan has never charged us for, probably the biggest one I brought to him was
No, I think what
Prospect. What am I missing?
I took it as you referring to like fine money being collected by Jonathan.
Right.
Yeah, not us.
Right.
Yeah. And granted, I'm going to tell you that don't bank on that. From my experience, don't bank on getting a lot of that. Number one, the PA court system does not allow them to separate it from police department versus code enforcement. Mm-hmm. So it's all going to come in through collections to the PD. That's something that, if we needed to break it out, whatever, but it's going to, because of the way courts are now, right. They're going to get payment plans, so don't bank on funding the borough or a significant portion of the borough through fine money.
And I guess maybe I may have spoke out of turn there. That's not really what I was after as far as, the funding side of it or any of that. It's more or less just making people accountable for what they have, which is going to increase the values of, our town and the feasibility of people wanting to move here. Again, we have several houses, probably one that I know of that should be condemned, and there's quite possibly several more. So,
I don't see a problem with that. The difficulty in chasing those down is very time consuming. I think I would impress upon council a couple of things, and first of that would be, this is your codified ordinances here. I think we probably need to work through there and determine what ordinances you want that individual to enforce. There are some ordinances in there like the subdivision land development and zoning and floodplain, and are you just looking at nuisance ordinances like grass and cars?
My thoughts were we adopt a quality of life ordinance, and there's plenty of templates out there from various municipalities around the Commonwealth. But the real simple, easy button, along with that, because that's another tool in the individual's toolbox, is the IPMC. That's codified, very easily prosecutable.
How many council members here have read through that?
Not entirely.
That's what I
It
mean.
is, there's a lot to it.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, are we going to be able to enforce that in a uniform fashion because of the complexity of the thing?
I think there's got to be some discretion to the individual there. Again, would I expect them to be measuring windows for the window size for the, what is it, Chapter 7, I believe, for the NFPA part of it? I don't know if anybody does that. Is it there in the book in case it happens? To me, that's more of a UCC code anyway, and more of a...
Well, the major concern is we need to be able to provide understanding enough of it so that we can give guidance to whatever agent that is hired. We
Sure.
need to be able to tell them, you do have prosecutorial discretion in a sense, but here are the things that we prioritize, and here are the things that we think are out of band or out of scope.
Then we could adopt it chapter by chapter, if so to speak.
Per Sir Adam is fine, we can.
The thing that I always concern myself with, and with this issue, and I'm not saying no, I'm just saying we need to look at liability. If we're enforcing that and not enforcing parts of it, and something happens in a rental property, for instance, that we've inspected and allowed to go back into rental, and something happens, is somebody going to come back and say, well, you said it was inhabitable and fine to, I mean, I don't know anything about electricity.
Right, and we don't get into that thing. And a rental inspection program is completely out of the realms of the IPMC. The IPMC is really the nuts and bolts of property maintenance. That's where you're going to find your things like your more easily prosecutable vehicle, grass, drainage,
Junk.
building exterior. I think there's a section in there for. I'm not even going to attempt to quote statute numbers on it, but it deals with blocking of sidewalks. So it's things like that the individual would have to read through. I don't expect anyone. It would be much like hiring somebody right out of the academy, saying, here's your patrol car, here's your Title 18 book and your Title 75 book, go have that. They're not going to be pros right off the bat. They're going to need some guidance. They're going to, unless we can find somebody with some experience doing it.
I think one of the things is, what I'm hearing is much of what you're talking about, and probably not all of it, we have ordinances that cover a lot of that stuff.
And I think we could cover it through most of our ordinances. If we bring somebody in, obviously they're going to be under the direction of, the borough manager / council. And if we give them high points to focus on right out of the gate, there's plenty of work, especially in the summertime, to keep them busy while we continue to work on focus points for them. I mean, it doesn't have to be, again, here's your book, I want 100% of it done, because it's not a 10 or a 20 hour.
So to go along with the comment about
simple
the
ones like
the
lawn
stuff,
mowing, the weeds, the junk
Yes,
cars.
absolutely.
Those things that are those are easy pickoffs.
Yeah, to
That's
your
low-hanging
point
fruit.
about the uniform enforcement, along with that is the uniform discretion. Like, you don't go picking on Joe and writing him a ticket because his paint's chipping on his house, and then let Bob get away with it.
Right.
It's got to be.
So if you're not going to do it to Bob, you don't do it to Joe. And I always took it as, keep in mind the area you live in too. Small town, rural area.
I understand John Davis's point correctly, then the legislation would basically look like code enforcement officer would be required to enforce these paragraphs, and we would go ahead and list them. Since we already have
You would have
many
the
of them.
framework to outline the position. I sent that to you, didn't I?
I did.
My printer's not working.
Yes, and I did print it for you.
And then under the supervision of a borough
something
manager,
like
he
that.
could get his
An
priorities
upstate
and what he should focus on first, what he should handle second. And of course, like what council said
They're
earlier,
all
it's got to be uniform.
Yeah, there's two of
There
these,
can't be
right?
favorites
Three.
played.
It's 3 apiece.
Oh, 3 apiece?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're correct, but I think, you know, if the vehicles, trash, lawns, things of that nature were a focus right out of the gate, let's call it beautification, all right, for a lack of a better term, to keep our town looking uniform and, you know, occupiable. Let's just say the items that make the town look better or clean or consistent. You know, those are going to be our focus points out of the gate. And then, once he's completed that, you know, then we can move into other areas if need be. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a revolving door with probably about 6 items, which is fine.
Just a handful of
Absolutely,
repeat, regular
because-
customers.
Right, and I have no issues with that. It's kind of what I fully expect. You know, when you have your offenders, you don't fix offenders. You just prolong, and they'll mow it today and they'll wait 6 months and then they'll do it again. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a warrantable position. I think the logistics of it can be figured out as we go. We obviously have some time before we could, you know, potentially come up with somebody to hire to do it. So this fine tuning of his initial focus points could be done over the next couple of weeks or
Yeah.
by the next meeting, the end of the month.
And we can continue to grow the position too, you know.
Absolutely.
Giving them more things to look for, things like that.
Certainly, the position that the ordinance can be amended as necessary, and so growing it as necessary makes good sense to me.
Right.
I think
My major concern then, following that, is not just uniformity of enforcement, but objectivity of standard. I have neighbors that have their lawns cared for far better than a golf green. And I have other neighbors, their lawn looks just fine, but you better believe that first set don't like how that second set keeps their lawn.
Well, you get that, and our ordinance spells out height of grass and types of.
And that's
weeds.
where,
So
that's
you can
where
do it
that.
that way. I get that a lot, that people that really just picking on their neighbor,
Yeah.
want it to be looking like theirs, but they're not really in violation and that sort of thing.
And again, a lot of that, you are gonna have to trust the discretion of whoever's in that position. And that's where, you know, I don't think we'll struggle. I think we just have to be diligent about our candidates.
The other thing is, there has to be some supervision there, and the borough manager by code is the one who enforces the ordinances. Council should be basically saying to me, I want the lawns mowed, or I want this done, and I would take it around, because if it's issued by council directly to the code enforcement, you are the first step in, what's the word I'm looking for? Appeal.
Yes.
So they would be appealing to the same people who directed the action be done. So you need that buffer in there so that the appeal would come to council, who didn't, I would be the one to say, you know, council has said, you know, or I know that council wants this done. These looked at, specific. If you're not going to generalize it, if you're going to go say that John Doe has a terrible yard and a junk car in the front yard, it's got to be the manager, whoever that is at the time, to go to the individual code enforcement and say, you haven't picked up on that one yet, we got a little pressure here, let's pick up on that one. So that if he appeals it, which it appeals back to council, you guys aren't in the situation of answering your own appeal.
Well, we just form an appeals board.
Outside of council?
Yeah.
You'd have to form a board outside of council.
Right.
Well, the
Right.
alternative, though, is manager or solicitor would stand before Judge Wilcox. And so they'd need to have the.
No, the officer could prosecute the case himself, just like any other non-traffic citation.
Is that true?
It'd be a civil.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good then.
All right. I mean, I think, you know, from what I'm hearing, well, you should probably be saying this, but I'll say it. I mean, I don't know at this point. I mean, I think we've kind of, before we beat it up too awful long, I think we all agree that it's a plausible idea. So I don't know, we just make a motion on having Dan move forward and posting a position, or?
I think we.
No, we have to wait on that. We'll have to make a recommendation to the proper council meeting. This is an advisory meeting. This is informational.
No, this is an advisory action meeting.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, there was confusion, so I just did it so that there would be no questions.
Well, there it is, yeah, okay.
Can we go either way?
We
I
don't know
motion to
enough
create
about
the
this
position.
position. To create the position, we still need to ordain what their responsibilities are.
We have time for that. We're
I
not
say
gonna
there was a
hire
motion on
somebody
the floor.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can move.
I'm sorry, there's a motion. Do we
create the
have a
position
second?
And
I'll
give yourself
second it.
time to.
You can't
put
second the
together-
one you proposed.
I
He
didn't
did,
put it.
he did.
I did.
Oh,
Let's take it easy. Yeah, you can go ahead and vote to create the position,
Yep.
and then work on additional
More
framework
structuring
beyond
and-
this, if that's what you
Correct.
need, and what will and won't happen. But your step one is underway, and that makes sense. That was John and John?
John, yes.
What
J&J.
are we proposing now that we're in the discussion then, since it was proposed by John Robb and seconded by John Davis, that this is the working definition of duties?
I don't think you're there yet.
I definitely don't think we're there. I'm sure we're not
I
there.
spent some time researching a bunch of different enforcement positions around the Commonwealth, from very large, very affluent suburbs of
Yeah.
Philadelphia to a couple of,
We're not a suburb, and I don't want to be one.
you're not listening to me, Tim. I took a cross-section of ordinances
All right.
and found one that I felt was concise, direct, and consistent, that would match our needs. That
Okay.
is absolutely tunable to our desires.
I like where you're going. Okay.
So it sounds like this is like a template that we can build off of
Yeah,
or change.
exactly.
Oh, sure, we could
Yeah.
scratch out all kinds of things here.
Because the one that I
Scratch, add.
found from, it was down near Philly someplace, was like 17 pages long of just his responsibilities and ordinances. We don't have
We don't need that.
the need, the necessity for something that complex, because it was very complex.
Do we need to determine the wages and salaries of this
I think
individual at this
no,
point?
I think.
We
That's
can.
way down the road.
Oh,
Yeah.
good then.
Yeah,
I don't think we're
Fantastic.
even close to that.
No.
I think at this point, they're just saying
Mhm.
they want to create a position of an assistant ordinance enforcement officer.
We haven't hired anyone, we haven't paid anyone yet?
Detail the plans after that as to
To
how
be
that's gonna
determined.
happen.
Well, that sounds fine to me, John.
I
And
don't,
unless you change the ordinance, the only reason I say assistant is because the borough manager by ordinance, and I think by state code, is 53 Title 30 or whatever, is given the authority to handle law and ordinance enforcement, so to speak, not law as in police law.
So it'd be a functional subordinate.
And I have no problem of stepping off to the side and letting that person go after you got the framework in place and the wages and all that, and if you want to set it up so that you
That's a
have
starting point.
That's a
We can
starting
appeals
change
board,
that.
that's fine.
change
But ultimately, the buck would stop at the borough manager, by the statute.
It typically does, but yeah, it doesn't have to, I don't really care that much about it.
I have no
Be here
further questions. Does anyone else care to
Want
add
to
to
be
the
right for the
discussion?
borough.
Dave, how about you?
Yeah, what do you got to say, Blair?
Yeah, no, I'm just, again, this is a template, as you're saying, but it's like you have right events, so this person can come to your house and demand to come into your house anytime they want to.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well, houses are different, so
Right.
the officer has to abide by the rules of curtilage.
Right,
So that was always a contention point that I had, where, again, the guy's got to have some gray matter between his ears, whoever's
Right.
doing this, right? You can observe from public view, and upon observing a violation, you could enter the curtilage area. Entering a house, you're going to need a warrant.
right. So this is basically geared towards a rental property and/or something along those lines that you need to go to, just not any resident that you choose to go into. 'Cause I
To
mean,
go into a residence, yes,
Right.
you're going to need, number one, either landlord permission or
Right.
tenant permission, or you're going to have probable cause.
right, because I was thinking that would be like a huge violation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Curtilage is your flower bed. He can come right up to your shrubs.
right,
If he sees something wrong. If he doesn't see anything wrong, he needs to stay on the sidewalk.
And again, it's just a template, but it says, officer may inspect property between 9 and 4. Again,
Yes.
template. Entry may be granted voluntarily or scheduled by an appointment. If entry is denied, a probable cause exists, the officer may obtain a search warrant, so.
Yeah, so this is specifically for things like a rental
Right.
inspection.
Right,
Or
I
if
think
they're
it's a
doing,
good starting off
right,
point.
it's,
doing
bare bones.
a normal inspection of a house, or,
just walking around it to look for complete breakdown, if you get an extremely foul odor, that's probably going to be probable cause.
Right.
You're going to call, what's that?
As long as it can be articulated.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to call law enforcement and say, hey, there's something wrong here. So again, I think, I don't want to beat this one to death. We've got plenty of other things to cover, but
Sure.
I think, if you keep in mind the beautification side of our ordinances.
Right.
Out of the gate. That's
Yep.
where we want to start, correct?
That's the focal point.
So
Grass,
we can
junk,
add to that, we
cars.
can take away from it. If we decide that, 6-inch weed's acceptable, then we can change it. It can all be altered as we go. Again, as I
Because I don't
stated,
even know if we have a rental inspection program.
We don't want one either.
So that would be,
I don't know about
I
that.
think,
I'm quite
I've li-
sure we
I've-
don't want
I
one.
think as we go down the road with this template and do what you want to do with it in terms of shaping it and so on and so forth. Right now, we don't have a borough solicitor. We're looking at the RFP to get one.
Oh, yeah, another order of
If we
business.
move faster than that's going to happen, I think we need to engage an attorney when we get this finished to look at it and make sure we're not violating any laws that.
oh yeah,
because we're not
absolutely, the attorney
attorneys.
would have to draw up.
If I was an attorney,
The
I'd
final-
be living
yeah.
a lot better than I'm living now. so.
Yeah, I mean, I firmly believe in the beautification. I mean, that's a
Oh,
very
yeah.
important
We
thing.
want people to come to Troy.
Right, yes, you don't want a deplorable.
So we got John and John on the motion and the second.
Yeah, I guess we're out of discussion. Shall we put it to a vote?
What's next?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any disposed? No, it was unanimous.
May I comment here, or do you want?
Oh, please, wait till the end. There's a lot of other stuff. You might want to catch up on all of it. Okay, Dan, what's next on the item, on the mission?
Troy Borough Ordinance, Chapter 1, Part 2, which is duties of the borough manager.
Oh, yes. I hope you have enough to share.
I don't.
Oh,
What do you need, an agenda?
no, the copy of the ordinance, but I'll trust everyone here is a good friend.
No, I got one of them.
Marked up.
Well, who brought that up? John?
Well, I guess I assumed that everybody was concerned about it, that they would have had a copy of that ordinance. So you guys don't have a copy of that ordinance in your, it didn't come out in the packet?
Chapter
I'm
1.
afraid my work week's been just so busy.
Tell me about it.
It's good to be busy.
I understand, yes. I'm salaried, it's horrible to be busy.
All right.
I can get
We were
down.
specifically referring to 1-206, right?
Powers and duties.
Powers and duties,
Yep.
correct. And I have those here, I can go down through them.
I have them. Go ahead.
Is it 206?
Yep.
1-206, powers and duties. Starts out with the manager shall be the chief administrative officer of the borough and shall be responsible to the council as a whole for the proper and efficient administration of the affairs of the borough placed in his or her charge. The power and duties of administration of all borough businesses shall be vested in the manager, and click got in the way, and the manager, unless expressly imposed or conferred by statute or ordinance upon other borough officials, other borough something, subject to recall by ordinance of council. The powers and duties of the borough manager shall be the following: to supervise and be responsible for activities of all municipal departments. To, I don't know if you want to call out when you hear one that you think needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first ones.
Okay, I'll check that and move on. To hire and when necessary for the good of service to suspend or discharge any employee under his or her supervision, provided that person's covered by the civil service provision to the code 53 PS subsection 45101, blah, blah, shall be hired, suspended, or discharged in accordance with such provisions, and provided further that the manager shall report at the next meeting thereof of council any action taken by authority of this section. To fix wages and salaries of all personnel under his or her supervision within ranges previously determined by council. to prepare and submit to council before the close of each fiscal year a budget for the next fiscal year and an explanatory budget message. In preparing the budget, the manager or an officer designated by him or her shall obtain from the head of each department, agency, or board, or any qualified officer thereof, estimates of revenues and expenditures, and such other supporting data as is required. The manager shall review such estimates and may revise them before submitting the budget to council. E, to be responsible for the administration of the budget after its adoption by council. F, to develop in conjunction with the preparation of the yearly budget, long-range fiscal plans for the borough, such plans to be presented annually to the council for its review and adoption. To hold such other municipal office and to head such municipal department as the council may from time to time direct. To attend all meetings of council and its committees with the right to take part in the discussions, the manager shall receive notice of all special meetings of council and its committees. To prepare the agenda for each meeting of council and supply facts pertinent thereto. To keep the council informed as to the conduct of borough affairs. To submit periodic reports on the condition of the borough finances and such other reports as council requests, and to make such recommendations to council as he or she deems advisable. To submit to council as soon as possible after the close of the fiscal year a complete report of the finances and the administrative activities of the borough for the preceding year. To see that the provisions of all franchise, leases, permits, and privileges granted by the borough are observed. To employ, by and with the approval of council, experts and consultants to perform work and to advise in connection with any of the functions of the borough. To attend to the letting of contracts in due form of law, the manager shall supervise the performance and faithful execution of the same, except insofar as such duties are expressly imposed by statute upon some other borough officer. To see all money owed to the borough is promptly paid and that proper proceedings are taken for the security and collection of all borough claims. To serve as purchasing officer of the borough and to purchase in accordance with the provisions of the borough code all supplies and equipment for the agencies, boards, departments, and other offices of the borough. The manager shall keep an account of all purchases and shall, from time to time or when directed by council, make a full written report thereof. He or she shall also issue rules and regulations subject to the approval of council governing the procurement of all municipal supplies and equipment. To investigate and dispose of or to designate an officer to investigate and dispose of all complaints regarding borough services and to report to council thereon. All complaints regarding borough services shall be referred to the office of the manager. To enforce the ordinances and regulations of the borough. To prepare such ordinances and regulations as the council may direct.
Yep, that one. Check
You want that, Mark?
Yep.
To maintain contact with outside agencies to assure effective coordination so as to enhance the civic welfare of the borough. To hold the office of borough secretary with all the rights and privileges as provided in the Borough Code 53 PS subsection 45101. Additional duties and responsibilities as listed in the current borough manager's job description, which is revised on an annual basis. That's it. That's all I do.
I'm guessing then that would be in response to the position of the code enforcement officer?
So I would like,
Back to the first one. John checked off, and then we
Well,
only,
if you're already talking, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. I say with R, which is to enforce ordinance and regulations of the borough and to prepare such ordinance and regulations as the council may direct. I think we should split it. I'm okay with the borough manager doing, preparing the ordinances and regulations and then having our newly formed position when it is ready to enforce the ordinances and regulations of the borough.
Or another idea is the borough manager would prepare the ordinances. He would also enforce or designate an officer to enforce the ordinances. And that would then conform with his other responsibilities and permit the position of the enforcement officer.
I think we just voted on hiring.
We did.
We did,
ordinance
so
officer.
it works out. The language works out perfectly when we say he enforces them or designates an officer to enforce them. In this case, it would be the code enforcement officer.
I'd like to make a motion to split it as I stated, where the code enforcement officer that we newly appointed the position to enforce the ordinances and regulates of the borough, where the borough manager is to prepare the ordinances and regulations as council may direct.
Okay, speak.
I would like to just slow that down a little bit till we get a chance to fully go through the state code in terms of council manager plan, which is what we're under, so that we're not overriding state regulations? We might want to have,
Pennsylvania Board Code, section, Title 8 PACS, section 1141 allows boroughs to create the office of the borough manager and outline his powers. Going down through, the borough manager's powers and duties are not automatic. They must be defined by council. The borough manager shall, under the direction of council, perform the duties assigned by ordinance or resolution. We can
okay, that's fine.
change and split.
I'm just telling you that under Title 53, Chapter 30, Number 2, under 3062, and this is state code, under the powers and duties of the municipal manager to execute all laws and ordinances. So you're getting into a situation where you may be in conflict with what the state says. All I'm saying is, let's let an attorney look at that so we don't go in the wrong direction. I don't care which direction we go at. I just don't want to put us in a situation where we're putting something in place that's changing state code, which overrides us.
Correct. Which is,
oh, I think that's Title 53. There was municipalities general, also known as general local government code. Title 8, incorporated towns.
But I think we fall under Title 8, right?
Yes.
So, right, Title 8, Section 1142. Borough manager's duties are, the powers and duties of the borough manager are regulated by ordinance and enacted by this borough council, not mandated by state law.
Okay, I'm fine with it, because by the time somebody catches up with it, I'm gonna be gone. I just think you need to have an
No,
attorney.
I think all of these, everything we talk about tonight should be ultimately reviewed by a solicitor. But we've got to get that conversation going first.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I just want to be sure your resolution is then to amend that particular section of the ordinance code. To say
Yes.
the borough manager prepares the borough ordinances. And
per
then we put a
council's
period.
direction.
Yeah, and then we put a period there, and he doesn't enforce or anything like that.
correct.
I see.
That is my motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Well,
Give me the motion slowly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're amending a specific.
So, yep, so, let me get you all the specifics. So, in the Pennsylvania Borough, S, or 1-206, powers and duties, subsection R.
You want that all in the motion?
Nope.
Okay, would you just give me the motion?
Sure. My motion is to split to enforce the ordinances and regulations of the borough to the newly formed code enforcement position, and the other half stay with the borough manager, which is to prepare such ordinances and regulations as council may direct. You know, it's still wordy, but
That's fine, it's as good as it can be.
Basically taking the first sentence out of the ordinance and handing it to an enforcement
code
officer.
enforcement, yes.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, and you're still happy seconding that motion, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Section R.
If we approve that motion, do we end up in a spot where we don't have a code enforcement officer and the borough manager can't enforce code?
I don't think so, because in order to, first of all, in order to amend or eliminate an ordinance, you have to write an ordinance
A new
to
one.
amend that ordinance.
Correct, which goes
Okay,
through an attorney.
so that has to go to your attorney,
Again.
and then after the draft comes back and you look at it and say, yep, that's what we want, then you have 30 days before you can enact that ordinance. So
So then maybe
we
we
got a
should
ways to go.
move on tonight, table these two issues and move on to the RFP.
I think we
Fair
need
to
to put
me.
these in
We can
motion.
accept the privileged motion if you want to make it.
Because if we don't get it in motion now, we're looking at December before we're starting to make traction with this. If we do it now, we're not doing anything illegal.
Right.
We're basically getting things in motion, no
Framing
different
it
than
for-
hiring the ordinance officer. You know, we have an idea of where he's gonna start with his job. Grass, things of that, whatever the case may be. But I think the same thing with this, if we don't get the ball rolling out of the gate, the ball's never gonna roll.
And then
And I'm
one-
just afraid of losing traction. Dan just said, you know, it's not gonna be his problem, it's gonna be the next guy coming in. So that tells me that he plans on retiring sometime soon. So
He
if we
hasn't made that a
don't,
secret.
but if we don't get the ball rolling,
Right.
we're gonna have to start all over again.
Right, and this way, the solicitor's gonna have work as soon as they get
I
going.
hate wasting time, and that's what I feel like we do.
I just don't want to put us in a liable position, and I think. we
And
should.
I get it, we don't need to move anywhere with it.
No.
We're just making a motion that that's what we're gonna do.
And then when it's ready to jump, we'll have them review it.
Correct.
And we'll amend ordinances, and it'll all be done in one fell swoop.
So the second still stands.
So if we're satisfied with our discussion,
Davis?
anyone here got any else to add to that? Blair? Rob?
No, I'm okay with that part of it.
Let's put it to vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Be our solicitor, right?
Motion carries, gentlemen.
Unanimous.
No, there was one abstention. Blair.
He didn't abstain.
No, I
Oh, I'm
no, I
sorry.
agree.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah.
No response is not an abstention. An abstention is I abstain, or I not abstain, that's not true. So are we moving on to the RFP? Is that what I
Council
heard?
Let's say, would
resignations
next
is
be
the
council
item on the
resignations?
Order of business.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the paper, so wherever,
We're here.
yeah, so I guess next on the list is council resignations.
Oh,
I make motion to accept Jason's resignation.
Second.
Davis,
Davis and Rob?
Rob,
This is for the Jason's resignation.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? I don't think we could force him to work.
no, I doubt it.
I mean, he just wouldn't show up.
Oh, very well, let's put it to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? This council has accepted Mr. Hostetter's resignation. We have another resignation. Did you receive that in writing?
I did.
Very
Good,
good.
and I talked to Steve again today. He's, really wishes it wasn't this, but he's gonna be out and gone for a very extended time.
I'm sorry to hear of his troubles. I'm
feels
sure he'll
that-
come back.
Well, he feels that in order for him to do the borough the best he could, that it's something that even though he would be permitted to attend meetings via,
Zoom.
remote means, that he feels that for his own integrity and, best decisions, that he needs to be present to do so, and he's just not going to be able to.
His focus needs to be on this.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Myers integrity. So do we have a motion then to accept his resignation?
first.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this beyond what we've had? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion is carried. We accept Stephen's resignation. There weren't any other resignations, were there?
The solicitor, but I don't think we get to vote on that.
No.
No, that happened last week, well, a few days before. No more resignations, thank God. Okay, now we're on the RFP for a solicitor.
Okay, because I lost my agenda somewhere in this pile.
Oh, I think I took it from you
I know the feeling.
when I was sitting up there.
No, I have not.
Ow.
I don't have the agenda, I didn't let that out. Anyway, I do have an RFP prepared. There's some things that are gonna need to be changed in there. It's minutia, it doesn't matter, like date issued, response date, and when we want the response by. They're highlighted in there. I don't know how much of this you want me to go through. It was sent to you, I'm certain.
We never got
They
it.
never got.
Nope.
Okay, this is a request for proposal for Borough Solicitor Services. The RFP is number 2025-01, issued by the Borough of Troy, Bradford County, PA. These are flexible. Date issued Tuesday, June 11, 24. Response date Friday, August 9, 24. They're just numbers thrown in there. Borough of Troy. Purpose and intent. The Borough of Troy, Bradford County, PA invites individuals and law firms licensed to practice law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and with significant municipal law experience to submit written proposals for Borough Solicitor Services to the Borough of Troy through this request of proposals. The Borough of Troy seeks to engage a vendor as Borough Solicitor for the remainder of the calendar year 2025 with reappointment on a yearly basis unless services are otherwise terminated as outlined per the Pennsylvania Borough Code. Proposal submission. An original clearly marked as original, 10 copies and 1 electronic copy of each proposal shall be submitted in sealed envelopes and must be marked with Borough Solicitor Proposal and addressed to Daniel Close, Borough Manager, CAO, Elmira Street, Troy, PA. The proposal must be received no later than Friday, August 9th, 2025. Again, flexible date. Faxed and email proposals will not be accepted. Any inquiry concerning the RFP should be directed to same place. All documents, information submitted in response to the solicitation may be available to the public. The borough will not be responsible for any cost associated with oral or written and/or presentation of the proposals. The borough reserves the right to reject all proposals with or without cause and waive any irregularities or informalities in the proposals. The borough further reserves the right to make such investigations as it deems necessary as to the qualifications of all firms submitting proposals. The borough reserves the right to resolicit proposals. General information, the Borough of Troy is located in western Bradford County, Pennsylvania, and operates under the Pennsylvania Borough Code form of government with a 7-member borough council, 1 mayor, and 1 borough manager. The borough is just under 1 square mile with a street system of approximately, okay, I go through this explaining that the layout of a borough, you all know that.
Can we
Yeah, we
help
can
him
skip that.
We can
elide
skip
the
that.
boilerplate?
The borough has approximately 90 acres of park area with municipality-owned buildings. I think that was important to let you know that that's in there. The borough has part-time police coverage at 40 hours a week. Pennsylvania State Police cover outside of that. Ordinance enforcement, parking enforcement, zoning, planning, parks and recreation, and other municipal services. I don't think the rest of that is stuff you need. It's all boilerplate. Scope of services and duties of the solicitor of the Borough of Troy. This is the meat. Scope of services may include, but is not limited to, working knowledge of the Pennsylvania Code, government ethics, sunshine, and right to know laws. Subdivision and land development, zoning, comprehensive and regional planning, water and water distribution regulations, wastewater and sewer regulations, development and review of ordinances, resolutions, and policies, contracts and procurement, law enforcement matters, even though PSP coverage provided, including internal matters, as well as matters involving traffic and parking regulations. Pennsylvania Open Records Act, right to know law. Public employees, personnel, and labor relations, including public unions. Legal representation at the highest state and federal levels. Other legal matters, including interpretation of municipal law, borough code, and negotiations on behalf of the borough. Assembling employment practices, liability policies to protect the borough, procurement and sale of real estate and or property, attendance at meetings of Borough Council when requested. Borough Council meets on the last Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. Attendance at meetings of the Borough's Planning Commission when requested. The Planning Commission meets the second Wednesday of each month as needed at 7 p.m. Attendance at other meetings, including committee meetings, representation of the borough at zoning hearing board meetings, and other meetings as necessary. Prepare and approve, if directed or requested, on bonds, obligations, contracts, leases, agreements, conveyances, ordinances, and assurances to which the borough or any department of the borough may be a party. Commence and prosecute all actions brought by the borough for or on account of any of the estates, rights, trusts, privileges, claims, or demands of or against the borough, as well as defend the borough or any borough officer against all actions or suits brought against them in which any of these matters may be brought into question before any court in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Perform every other professional act indicated incident to the office which the solicitor may be authorized or required to do by the borough. Handle and issue municipal liens as needed. Collections of delinquent taxes, water, sewer, utility bills, etc. Maintain availability by cell phone and email to provide timely responses to sensitive matters. Assist with the interpretation of codes, ordinances, contracts, and other laws and regulations. Recommend and work with outside counsel to represent the borough under circumstances where warranted. Work with the borough's special labor counsel, if any at the time, civil service counsel, if any at the time, insurance counsel, if any at the time, and zoning hearing board counsel as needed. The borough solicitor shall render such legal services as may be necessary or desirable for the best interest of the borough, and shall, upon request, furnish borough counsel or borough manager a written opinion upon any question of law submitted by counsel or the manager. Submit invoices of monthly services to the borough's accounting office no later than the 10th of the month following services rendered. The minimum qualifications. The selected firm must provide personnel who meet the following minimum criteria. All attorneys representing and conducting services for and on behalf of the borough shall be licensed to practice law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and be a member of the bar in good standing. Experience in municipal law, municipal litigation, tort claim laws, Pennsylvania Public Employment Act 111, public union negotiations, arbitration matters, personnel, and labor issues. Primary attorney assigned shall have at least 7 years' experience as a borough solicitor for a Pennsylvania municipality, with at least 5 years for a municipality that has at least $2.5 million budget. The applicant also must demonstrate knowledge in all areas outlined in the scope of services section of the RFP and shall also demonstrate a high degree of knowledge, experience, and ability with the following: the operation of local government units in Pennsylvania, in particular Pennsylvania boroughs, acquisition and disposition of real estate and real property, as well as the purchase and sale of the same, municipal land use law, extensive knowledge of local public contracts law, labor relations and public employment laws, including ability to create and or review policies, contracts, and negotiate with unions, working knowledge of workers' compensation, Family Medical Leave Act, Act 111, pension laws and requirements, including but not limited to Act 205 and Act 600, Title 35 Emergency Management, Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, Pennsylvania Borough Code, Pennsylvania Constitution, other relevant employment laws and regulations, experience in reviewing, drafting, and interpreting ordinances, experience with SALDO and zoning ordinances, including assistance in writing ordinance amendments, interpreting and making recommendations, ability to place and remove liens on properties, ability to provide collection services if needed, litigation experience for plaintiffs and defendants at the Common Pleas Commonwealth Court, Pennsylvania Labor Relations Board, and federal court levels, bond and finance procedures for municipalities. Include a list of any other professional qualifications, experience, and or credentials you believe are relevant to the RFP. Term: the Borough Solicitor serves at the pleasure of council per Council Code Section 1116. Current, existing, and ongoing work. The selected Borough Solicitor will assume all legal responsibilities, duties of the Borough immediately upon appointment. However, the current contracted Borough Solicitor firm shall complete any immediate legal matters in which it is currently involved, and complete list of those projects shall be drawn up later and it's already taken care of. Mandatory content of proposal. Contact information. Provide the name and address of the firm, the name, telephone number, fax number, and email address of the individual responsible for preparation of the proposal. List the names of the firm's partners, principals, and all local offices in the firm. Identify the location of the firm's main office that will be working with the Borough of Troy, and the number of employees, titles, names, and positions that would be working on behalf of the Borough of Troy. Executive summary. The vendor shall provide a summary of not more than 2 pages in which the applicant substantiates the reasons the vendor is best qualified to provide the required services. Level of service. Provide a staffing plan listing those employees who will be assisting in the engagement should your firm be selected, including the designation of the principal professional solicitors responsible for all services under the engagement. Include the relevant resume information of the individuals who will be assigned, including the specific task of services for which they will be responsible. This information should include a description of everyone's relevant professional experience, years and type of experience, and number of years with the firm. References. List all of Pennsylvania local government jurisdictions over the past 10 years, including where your firm presently serves as municipal solicitor or provides similar services. Identify the duration and scope of service at each community. In reference to each municipality, specifically describe client size, number of employees, municipal budget, average legal budget, and provide the type of work you provide for each client. Identify at least 3 municipal clients in which you have provided services for over the past 5 years in which you wish to include as references. Please provide names, titles, and telephone numbers. Identify up to 3 non-municipal clients. Provide up to 3 non-municipal clients you wish to include as references. Please provide names, titles, and telephone numbers. Disciplinary action. Provide any description of any ongoing investigation and or litigation matters involving the firm, its partners, principals, officers, or other individuals employed by the firm. Please give a history of the same over the past 10 years. If the vendor or any principal therein has been engaged as a defendant in any litigation involving a sum of $100,000 or more, and or has been subject to any professional disciplinary action over the last 10 years, the bidder must provide a description of the litigation and or disciplinary action. A description of any ongoing investigation and or litigation matters involving the applicant, its directors, officers, and principals, and any individuals employed by the applicant that relate to the performance of the vendor in the proposed field of experience. Identify any potential conflicts of interest and disclose any representatives of parties or other relationships that might be considered or conflict of interest regarding this engagement or the borough. The borough recognizes that the selected firm may have private clients that operate in the borough. The borough would require that any such conflicts be disclosed, and the borough would retain special counsel for any matters related to the borough for which the solicitor's private clients constitutes conflict of interest. Respondents, the solicitor's private clients consult and conflict of interest. Respondents should identify any existing or probably conflicts of interest and disclose any representation of parties or other relationships that might be considered a conflict of interest regarding the engagement.
That's all I was looking for.
We're almost there. Describe any material financial relationships that you or your firm or an employee has with any individual organization that may create a conflict of interest in representing the borough. Describe any family relationship that any employee of your firm has with any public servant that may create a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest in representing the borough. Describe any other matter that your firm believes may create a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest in representing the borough, and the way such conflicts described in this paragraph will be resolved. Insurance. Detail your insurance coverage applicable to the services described herein. Such coverage must include, at a minimum, workers' compensation, employees' liability, commercial general liability, comprehensive automobile liability, umbrella liability, errors and omissions, and professional liability coverage, including insurance certificates summarizing such insurance coverage. The borough encourages creative fee structuring that will be responsive to taxpayers' needs where, and this is highlighted so it means needs looked at. Borough's population is 50% is at low to moderate income levels, and assessed property valuations are one of the lowest in the county. Furthermore, the borough is seeking solutions to modernizing billing practices that will meet these concerns. Adjustments are needed. Firms shall itemize their fee schedule to include all costs with an explanation of how costs are calculated and the methodology used to do the same. Itemized costs shall include all costs passed onto the borough, including but not limited to professional consulting costs, clerical costs, paralegal costs, and all ancillary expenses such as travel, copying, phone, postage, etc. If vendor charges different fees for different attorneys, the vendor shall list this in the itemized cost proposal. Identify any increase in rates for your municipal clients over the past 5 years. A proposal showing minimum and maximum ranges is not acceptable. Equal employment. Describe your firm's equal employment opportunity policies and programs. Please discuss any other factors not mentioned above which you believe to be relevant to the solution of your firm. And about the interview, Borough Council reserves the right to interview any and all of the firms submitting a proposal. Although interviews may take place, the proposal should be comprehensive and complete as submitted. However, while there is no specific page limit to a response to the RFP, applicants are advised to only provide material related to the request and qualifications for services. Please avoid providing extensive boilerplate, corporate, marketing, or filler material. Selection process. As proposals will be received by the Borough Manager and Borough Council to determine representativeness, Borough Council may reject any and all proposals in whole or in part for any reason. Borough Council has the right to waive any irregularities in any proposal. The Borough's evaluation will include, but not be limited to, the following evaluation criteria, separate or combined in some manner and not necessarily listed in order of significance. Vendor's general approach to providing the services required under this RFP. The vendor's documented experience in successfully completing work on contracts of a similar size and scope of the engagement addressed by this RFP. The qualification and experience of the vendor's management, supervisory, or other key personnel assigned to the engagement, with emphasis on documented experience and successfully completed work on contracts of similar size and scope to the services required by this RFP. The overall ability of the vendor to mobilize, undertake, and successfully complete the scope of work in a timely fashion. This criterion will include, but not be limited to, the following factors: the number and qualifications of management, supervisory, and other staff proposed by the vendor to perform the services required in this RFP, the availability and commitment to the engagement of the vendor's management, supervisory, and other staff proposed. The vendor's oral presentation and interview, if selected by the Borough, shall assist with affirming or supplementing information contained within the RFP. Cost and fee schedules. The final selection shall be made using criteria judged to be the maximum benefit to the Borough as a whole. Selection and contract. Borough Council may select the vendor deemed most advantageous to the Borough with price and other factors considered. The resulting contract will include this RFP, any clarifications and addenda thereof, the selected vendor's proposal, and any changes negotiated by the parties. Proposal submission by prospective borough solicitor. I or we one hereby submit the proposal. Okay, don't need that. Print their printed name. Acceptance by the borough. We don't need that. We need it, but we don't need to read it.
Yeah.
I will send out this full RFP to all of council. I apologize. I thought that I did that.
Can I have a clarification? Page 2, paragraph 3, sentence 14.
Yeah, that's where they said. That's where that was clearly stated.
Yeah,
And you said you didn't send it out.
Yeah.
I do have actually a concern. Now,
It's a draft.
That's fine, that's
Yep.
that's why
Template.
we're all here. That's why we're all here. We require whoever serves as our solicitor to be admitted to both the federal and state bar. Well, of course we do. But the concern I have is, one of the reasons you hire an attorney is because they've been admitted to your local county bar, because they know the proceedings and transactions of that courthouse where you will go to do business. Every judge does business differently. Someone who operates in Union County has no idea how Judge Williams does his business in Towanda. Judge Williams wants this particular piece of paper filed in a particular way before that piece of paper. And he will be very angry if you get them mixed up. And that will look very bad on your suit. And I think additionally, we should require our solicitor, if they are to serve also as our litigator or to supervise anyone that litigates on our behalf, to practice in Bradford County. Otherwise, what is the point?
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Not at all.
I think we put it out to see what results we get and then choose the best from there.
I
Yep.
think you'd be surprised. You got attorneys in Sullivan County and Tioga
Yeah,
County.
that are all handling it.
Yep.
And there are plenty in Sullivan that practice in Bradford County, that's for
They'll
sure.
move around.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I know there's municipal law attorneys from Harrisburg that come up here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of a moot point. I don't think we should.
We should not limit it that far.
I
No.
wouldn't limit your scope, period.
No.
I mean, I think this is pretty comprehensive, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll send it out for everybody to get a real good look at, highlight anything that you go, a little skeptical on that, but I don't see anything in here that, this is a culmination of several RFPs that are out there.
Not your first rodeo?
Kind of like your template from earlier.
And that, the other side of that, and it really does not have any effect on this, I don't think at all, but the school district is currently looking for a solicitor as well. I don't know, maybe somebody would say they'd put in for both.
Buy one, get one.
Knock out two birds with one stone, or whatever.
Wouldn't hurt.
But I'll send this out to everybody, you can go through the highlighted sections, or the sections you want to highlight, send it back and say, I don't think this, I don't think that, but it's pretty well put together by legal beagles that made sure everything was covered.
I mean, maybe, I'd like to make a motion that we send it out as drafted. I was okay with the reading of that. I think it covered everything that we were gonna
Yep.
potentially need.
Well, what dates then do we want to?
What I'll do
amend?
is I want to give them a reasonable time to respond, but try to get the RFPs back so it's just prior to a meeting.
Yeah.
Not that we would accept it at that meeting, but as a matter of fact, maybe I ought to do that a couple weeks before our meeting so I can send the responses out to everybody.
Yeah, because that shouldn't take more than a couple days for them to send email and RFP back,
Yeah.
right?
No, email's not acceptable.
Or, yeah, send it, mail it.
They'll send it. I'll do timing and I'll send a notice out to everybody. Is this good for timing? Here's the meeting, I mean, they've got to submit a lot of information, but most of these law firms. this
Probably
stuff-
got it all.
It's all ready to go.
Yeah.
It's all ready to go.
Click, drag, drop.
Yeah. So the dates thing is an
Yep.
issue I need to work on. And I'll look at county bar and see what implications are there. Those are the two that I heard. And then I'll get that information out to everybody.
Thanks. I guess there's no action on that.
Yeah, we had a motion on the
Yeah,
table.
John made a motion
Oh.
to accept the draft.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
I just need to dress up the dates and then get some stuff
Right.
out to them.
I'll second.
Anything else on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Dan will get it together.
My sciatic nerve's killing me. Oh, retaining wall. Okay, just a note to you guys, the wall out back here is caving in. It's getting closer and closer to the barn. The municipal authority has been, the borough is the owner of the facility, but we lease to the municipal authority who sublets to the Sale Barn Operating Corporation. So the municipal authority has been in tune to what's going on, and we went out and had some engineering work done, and the municipal authority paid for that. I had Tina run up the numbers for me on what the total of that was to date, and I don't have it because she's not here today. But the proposal, the potential cost, came in at $567,000. That's, and here's the plans if you want to see them, or you can stop in the office and I'll show them to you. I've talked to Nicole, who pretty much runs the barn, and her response to this is that we should be able to do something better. This is way over the top. This is looking at basically replacing that whole wall, taking that, I'm gonna call it the shed out here, and moving it so they can do the wall behind it. That shed can't just be lifted up and moved, it's gotta be basically disassembled and rebuilt back together, and they seem to want that shed back. And I think you could probably
what
tear
kind of
that out of
shed
there
is
and
it?
build a new shed and
Well,
paint it the
that's-
same color.
Couldn't we just buy a prefab shed a whole lot cheaper than they're gonna tear it down and re-put?
I think that's something that could be knocked out of this proposal, if that's the way you end up going.
I mean, that seems.
Looking
what-
to-
Outrageous.
How long is the wall, Dan? That seems excessive. Christ almighty, we just soil cemented and paved a half-mile section
Yeah.
of dirt road at a foot deep for 67,000.
You're looking at, well, you can go out and look at the wall. It runs the whole length.
But it's
Now,
leaning pretty good.
There's certain sections that they've coned off, so to speak, in the back that's really, and they measure it on a regular basis, and it keeps getting closer.
Sure, so it's gonna.
It's a shared line between this and the church. There's a big bank coming down to it, so it's not like you can just pull out what's there. You know, the bank's gonna have to be cut back or something. Local contractors, most of them probably aren't gonna wanna touch it because of the liability of that thing coming into this building during construction. But I'll talk to the Sale Barn Operating Corporation and say, hey, can we talk to a couple local contractors and see if they got kahunas enough to take into
Maybe
this
put it
thing?
out to Zuba?
What about the ones that did down at the water treatment? They were just down there not that long ago. DCR, is that?
Oh, I can ask.
I say, I don't know.
Yeah, DGR, I don't think
Okay.
he'd take that on, but I can ask.
I don't think he's got big enough equipment.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
That's 250 and above excavator.
That's big stuff.
Yeah.
That's big stuff.
It's gonna need more than a couple of 2x4s to shore up
Yeah.
to do a section.
So I'm just bringing that to your attention. Like I say, the plans are in the office. Anybody wants to stop up and look at them, I'm fine with that. And I know that the Sale Barn Operating Corporation wants to look at alternatives.
Do
So-
you recommend we continue to look
Continue to look what?
at alternatives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
$567,000, we haven't got that money.
I believe that, yeah.
You'll drain us and the municipal authority.
Well, I wanted to make sure of that. I just wanted to get you to say that's what.
567,000.
I thought it was, okay.
And in the last,
50-some thousand, I thought that was too bad.
in the last municipal authority meeting, they were jacking around about, what do you think it's gonna cost? And they were talking about $40,000, $50,000. Jason spoke up and said, I'm gonna tell you right now, that's gonna cost you over $500,000. And then the,
Well,
then the
we
quote
gotta
came
look.
in at 567.
They're talking about doing a port wall across there. That's the only way it's gonna cost remotely close to $500,000.
And I would think they should be able to
They could stair step that with stone.
stair step it with.
Gamble brass.
Jerry barrier that thing back.
Yep.
Yeah, with
And offset them
geotextile
going back like this, so you terrace that thing a little
Fabric.
bit.
So this needs re-engineering. This
And then here's
plan
what
is not what we want for our first try.
$28 a ton for R8s.
I think we go back to the engineers and say,
Material, yeah.
we want to go with Jersey, I call them Jersey barriers, whatever you call them. Terraced back, clear that back from the backside. We already talked to the church, the impingement on their property, they're not concerned about.
Yeah.
We might be able to get some help from them, but,
But we should probably have that.
They're a
that
nonprofit. They're
non-concern
not
in
following
writing.
it.
what's that, John?
We should probably get that non-concern in writing.
Yes.
I believe I have it in my email.
Okay, all right.
I'll double check that.
So my only concern with the Jersey barrier would be is that they're fragile. I mean, they just start deteriorating very fast in the weather.
What, would you look at going with big quarry rock? Like they
Yeah,
have-
that's what we were talking about, R8s, big
And then
48 inch,
still-
yeah,
still
48
terrace
inch
it back and-
ones. Step it back with reinforcement fabric and bars.
Depending on how much earth we can handle, I mean, gamble brackets and lines would even look pretty. But just the same,
Well,
can't be this much money.
get the rock in there and get it stabilized, then we'll talk about plans.
Yeah, this is not good. So what, do we need a motion to have you press forward with
I don't think so, I
alternatives?
was just bringing it to council's attention because
Very good.
It was
this is
informative.
the first number we got, and
Not a good number, is it?
but I want you to be aware because they're getting antsy. They want something done sooner than later because they don't want it to fall into the
I
bottom.
kind of agree with your idea. I think we should approach them and see if we can approach some local contractors that are experienced in rock work and riprap and see what kind of a price they would give us.
They've already done that to some extent out here,
Yeah.
but this is a little different because of the excavation.
Well, the excavation and the setting of it.
Is there a tree line here?
A tree line.
There's a few trees.
There's trees up on that bank. I don't know.
The roots are probably helping with the push out of the wall.
Yeah, And I think you're getting some hydraulic push back there too.
Right, yes, absolutely.
I think we determined that a while back, that there's hydraulic pressure back there pushing this out.
And that
So-
can be mitigated.
Yeah, if you put koi rock in there, you can put some pipe in.
Yeah, put a French drain right underneath
Drain
the
that.
quarry rock and boom, no problem solved.
Well, all right then, thanks for that. You're just a sunshine of good news.
I love to bring good news to the council. Are we done here?
No, okay, if that's the end of our order of business, I think Charlie Earl had some questions or comments to give to us.
Comment, question. Congratulations on starting talking about enforcement. Just an opinion. I think once you start with enforcement, you're going to see a snowball effect, and people will start taking care of their property. They finally got to where it was. Pick the low-hanging fruit, get that taken care of. You know, it's the borough's responsibility to do this. Don't pit neighbors against neighbors. Borough should just take care of everything. As far as a code enforcement person, liability was brought up about them talking to council, perhaps joining council. I sat at a Canton Borough meeting, and the code enforcement that they hire out, she sat in on the meeting via phone. Council talked to her, they talked about concerns, problems, she updated them, so she talked to council. Towanda Borough, I attended one of theirs, their employee, which is the code enforcement, he addresses council. So, I think it's a big step, and you're going to see a lot of improvement. So.
Thank you, Charlie.
Liability also is being used a lot as meetings and stuff, and without a current counsel, legal counsel, isn't there a process to hire an interim counsel? Don't you think you guys, I don't want an answer, but don't you think you guys should look into that? Because you're tiptoeing around different things because you don't know what you can do. Canton, I'm going to use them again. Their solicitor quit. They had a counsel from out of the area. He zoomed in on their council meeting, and then they went through the process of hiring one. So I would think that you want to entertain an interim counsel, legal counsel, to do that. Now I do have one question. Do you guys know when you're going to choose replacements for Steve and Jason? Where is that on the calendar?
No.
It's been advertised for,
Just before the next meeting?
well, it's been advertised for submissions from people that are interested, and I think the date for that is the 24th, which is just before the meeting. So I would assume that at that meeting, council will be looking at replacements. We have, we're on a timeline with the county because the resignations occurred prior to the 15th of September. We have to notify the county of once they're officially accepted, and I have the writtens, which now we have. Now I can notify the county because those positions will be on the ballot for the November election.
Even though Steve's was not due this year?
Yeah, because it's a vacancy.
Okay.
So it would be put on there, and then in the November election, whoever you appoint in the November election is going to have to run to complete the term. You can't, because it's got to be up to the voters at the end of the day.
So they don't inherit the term.
They don't inherit the whole term.
Jason's was up anyways.
They only, whoever they appoint will have to run to complete the term.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter that Jason's was up. They're appointing till the end of the year. So in order to continue that 4 full year that Jason would have had, they're still going to have to be on the ballot. So they're going to have to run for it.
Have minimum 2 there, plus Dave.
If he chooses to go.
If I choose to leave.
Yeah,
If Dave doesn't run.
If he wins in school and chooses to leave us.
And I don't know what the timing is on that.
Dave won't know if he won until sometime after November.
But at any rate, whoever you appoint is going to have to run in November to complete the term, whether it's a partial term or a full term.
But you're gonna select, you anticipate selecting someone at the next council meeting.
I would think probably that that's a council decision.
Have we received any submissions as of yet?
Two.
Two, okay.
2 vacancies, 2 proposals.
That's it for me, folks.
Did you have anything to offer to us, Walt?
I'd say that the Canton ordinance zoning officer is part-time. So if you're looking for somebody, and she has previous experience before Canton, she may be, I don't know, but she may be available that you could hire her on as part-time. If she's available. And then you have somebody with experience and capability. I'd say the same thing he did about getting an interim solicitor. Would be a good idea. Especially if this is gonna take a while with getting an RFP together and taking it out.
Hey, you got him.
Actually, there's 2 more. There's some.
Oh, here, there's something.
Oh, I can't remember what the other. It was about one of the ordinances. Doesn't matter to or not. Sorry.
No problem. Thanks, Walt. All right, let's adjourn then, since we're all done with our business. Say goodnight, Gracie.
I guess we motion for adjournment?
Oh, sure, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
John, motion to adjourn. John Robb, motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Jesus. What am I gonna do?